Hello everyone, this is Lisa. Thanks for joining me today. I'd like to share with you a unique card. It's an inner shadow box and we're going to be using the Lilypad Lake stamp set and coordinating framelit dies. This card is really cool because on the front side it looks like a regular card, but when you open it, it's this awesome 3D shadow box. Isn't that fun? So this card was heavily influenced by Jennifer McGuire, who is my stamping hero. And as you can see, it fits just fine into a regular A2 size envelope. So let's get started. The first thing we need is an 8.5 by 11 inch regular piece of cardstock. I'm using Thick Whisper White. You can use whatever you like. And we're just cutting it in half at 5.5. So we have two equal pieces of cardstock. We will be using both to make this card. I'm showing here that when I measure and score at the 1/2 inch mark, I'm going to be doing it on the opposite side of the track. It's just easier for me. So the first thing we're going to do is score at 4.25 and then slide it down, and I'm going to cut off 1/2 inch. So basically we just have a regular note card with a 1/2 inch cut off the back side. Okay, next we're going to bring in the other piece of cardstock and we are going to score that at 1/2 inch. Then flip it around and score at 4.25 inches. And slide down and score it at 4.75 inches. Okay, this little tiny part where we cut off, where we scored at the 1/2 inch mark, we're going to cut just a little tiny sliver off of that. This will help the card go together a little easier. So when I say sliver, this is the size I mean, just a little tiny sliver. Okay, so next we're going to bring in our bone folder and we're going to fold and burnish on our score marks. And see, we have a box here. So that's our shadow box portion. And this again is our card base. And so when we put it together, this is going to be how it looks. Pretty neat, huh? Okay, so the first thing we need to do, well, we're going to set our card base aside to start with, and we're going to work on our shadow box part. Now I've brought in the two largest dies from the layering circle dies, and we're going to use the smaller of the two to create the hole in the shadow box. My magnetic platform likes to jump my dies around sometimes, and I really don't want this to move, so I'm going to secure it down with a little bit of tape. And I will run that through my Big Shot. Okay, so now we're back, and we have a perfect circle in the center of our shadow box. And I'm going to remove the tape. And we want to save this piece, this circular piece here, because we're going to be using that on the front of our card. Okay, I want to explain why we need the two dies. We're going to be creating a frame that goes around the smaller of the circle die. Our circle framelits do not nest. So what you have to do in order to create this frame is you cut out the largest of the circles, and then once that's cut out, it'll be a whole piece, and then you set the smaller right on top of it and run it through your Big Shot, and then you come out with the frame. So I'm going to set my circle piece down here on my silicone mat, and I'm going to bring in a multi-purpose adhesive sheet, and these are really sticky. And then I'm going to place my piece of balmy blue cardstock down on top of it, and it's a little bit large, and off camera I've gone ahead and trimmed this. Okay, so now I've used the water dye, but I'm leaving the entire piece inside the dye because I'm going to be pulling out the little tiny strips that are in between the open parts of the water, and I'm going to place those down on that circle. Just kind of placing them as they go. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I went ahead and I did that all the way down, and that's why I used my silicone sheet, so that would come up very easily. And now I'm just trimming around the edges. I have to tell you, I had a blast making this card. It was so fun. Okay, so I've added some snail to the back, and I'm just adhering this to the front of the card. And I'm going to be using some glue just to put a small bead of glue all the way around the circle, and this is how we're going to attach our little frame. So I'm going a little bit slow just to be sure I don't overshoot my glue, because we all know that I'm famous for that. And just making sure that I have the right side up. I'm just adhering that down, and it's a perfect fit. Now I've gone ahead and done all of the elements ahead of time just to save time, because this video is going to be long enough. But I wanted to tell you that I colored the sailboats with Calypso Coral, So Saffron, Crumb Cake, and Balmy Blue. And the sun piece there is cut out of So Saffron. So this is the sentiment that we're placing on the front. I've heat embossed it with white embossing powder, and this frame here also comes in the die set. And I'm just making sure that I have it on there straight, and I do, so that makes me happy. Okay, now we're going to go back and work on our shadow box. We'll need a panel that's 3.5 inches by 5 inches. And this guy here that we took all of the strips out earlier for the front, we're just going to trim the first line of water, or the first wave, if you will. And we're going to bring in that panel and the silicone mat again. And we're just going to pull the adhesive off the back of that and then lay it down over the top of our panel. And of course it will be too large, and we're going to cut it just like we did the circle. And there we go. Your scissors may get a little gunked up because of the adhesive, so be sure you give them a good clean when you're done with this project before you begin something else. Okay, so now I've put all of the pieces onto the back side of the panel, and I'm adding some snail, and I'm going to place it on the inside of the shadow box. Just being careful to get it straight. And so there we have the inside part. And now I flattened it back out because I'm going to stamp my other sentiment on the inside. And next I'm going to be adding I think it's a crane, and I'm going to be putting only on his tail feathers, on his legs and his feet, because the rest of him is going to be hanging over into the circle. And I apologize for the airplane noises outside. I don't know what's going on, but it must be airplane lesson time or something. Okay, so I've done the same with the lily pad. And so now the decorating of our shadow box is complete. And we're going to go ahead and assemble the card. So that 1/2 inch score line that we have there, that's the one that we cut the sliver off of. I'm going to put a piece of tear and tape down there. You can use any strong adhesive, but it does need to be a strong adhesive for this. And I'm just pulling the backing paper off of the tear and tape. And I'm going to butt that right up to the fold on the card base. And as soon as I get it lined up, you just fold the top over right onto that strip of adhesive and push down a little bit and it adheres. So that's half done. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is completely lay the card flat, and this is how it's going to go together. So we're going to bring in some more tear and tape, and we're going to put 3 strips of it down. Just be sure that you don't get any on that score line on the edge, because that part will still be showing. And if you did that, your card wouldn't open. So before I take off the backing paper, I'm just going to close this to make sure that I have everything lined up okay, and I do. So I'll remove the backing paper once again off of the tear and tape. And then you just fold the back over, making sure that everything stays nice and straight. And there you have it. There's your shadow box card. I still just think that is so fun that you open it. It's like a surprise. And it really isn't hard. The only thing that takes any time is the decorating. So I've made a coordinating envelope, and I've used the Seaside embossing folder to emboss the flap so it looks like the water. And if you have a little bit popping up there, you can just use your bone folder to straighten it. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for hanging out with me for this long video. And until next time, happy crafting. Take care. Bye-bye.